Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It is 8:07. It's our fourth hour here on this 4-hour morning show extravaganza. That means it's all come down to this. Coming up in 30 minutes. I just finished writing my first novel, so I write like the narrator of a novel now. God, and that's when they realized that the war had just begun.
This is going to be a fun year. Oh, dear.
Coming up in 30 minutes, chairman of the which committee? Judiciary. Jim Jordan of the relatively great state of Ohio. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. And we've got Nick Minock. Did I know Nick Minock was going to be in the show today? Well, that's very good. That's always a nice surprise.
Give him like a book intro. And
let's go. Now, the man who is telling the truth despite major resistance from all of the evil powers of, I don't know, I can't do it off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's good.
Renee Smith last night is one of the moms of one of those Loudoun boys who has had a Title IX investigation. That's the kind of thing that can devastate a young boy.
It can.
In high school.
Yes.
And it's because, first of all, he was illegally recorded with a cell phone in the locker room, in the boys' locker room, and he expressed concerns that there was a girl in there, a girl who identifies as a boy. Nick Minock has not only interviewed Ms. Smith, Ms. Smith was speaking at the Loudoun County School Board meeting last night. I've mangled this, Nick. I wasn't ready for you. Come on in here, join us. You were at the meeting last night, and it looks like this is the open mic time. This is public forum. This is when parents can express their concerns back to their elected officials. But if you raise this topic, which is the hottest topic in Virginia schools, you're silenced. They shut it down. What happened?
Yeah, so in Renee Smith, what she said during public comment was, Loudoun County parents, if this can happen to her son and 2 other boys, it can happen to your kids too. A girl can go into the boys' locker room, record your boys saying they're uncomfortable with a girl, and it's the boys, the sons, who are investigated by LCPS. And so we heard from her and other parents of the other 2 boys, and we saw a lot of support for the boys. But here's the thing, is when people voice their support for the boys being investigated, guess who threatened to shut down public comment? It was School Board Chair Melinda Mansfield and School Board Member Ann Donahue. They repeatedly interrupted parents, told them to stop clapping, told them they couldn't talk about this topic at all, or they would shut down public comment. And by the way, there were lines out the door. There were so many people there yesterday. Hundreds of people in the room, and even though the room was not at capacity, they weren't letting everybody in who wanted to speak.
Really?
That is unbelievable. So they tried to shut down the mics. They wouldn't let everyone in. They told parents they couldn't applaud. How did this end? I mean, did obviously certain people got up there to speak. What was the commentary from the board members?
Sure. So they did not interact in terms of providing any kind of reaction to what's happening to the boys. They weren't going to reverse their policy that allows biological boys to go into biological girls' locker rooms and bathrooms and vice versa. So they didn't really interact in that way. But, you could tell the school board members were very uncomfortable with the parents calling them out on this investigation and Policy 8040. You saw the school board chairs eye twitch at times when parents were speaking. They were visibly upset.
Yeah.
So, Nick, what is the status of this issue? I know that the state is looking into it. Attorney General Miyares, the governor, is very concerned about this. But am I correct in your reporting? You've discovered that even if Loudoun County does adopt the governor's protocols, that doesn't necessarily prevent this sort of occurrence?
Right. So I shared this on X yesterday, and we'll be doing stories on this. So I reread the governor's model policies, and it cites the Grimm case, which is the case that LCPS uses to defend their current locker room and bathroom policies. And so we've heard parents call on the school board in the past to adopt those model policies, but LCPS says they're in line with state and federal laws. And so I think a lot of parents are wondering, after 3.5 years of Governor Youngkin being in office, why are these locker room and bathroom policies still in place, not only in Loudoun schools, but Fairfax, Alexandria, Arlington, and Prince William County schools?
Yes.
So I think we're going to see more discussion about that.
Is there any other indication from the Loudoun County School Board that, pending this investigation, do we know what the status of this Title IX investigation is at this point, and whether they're even addressing the fact that there was an illegal recording that took place?
Yes.
Right. So LCPS has not said if that girl has been disciplined. I've heard that some discipline may have taken place, but once you hear what it is, it's not anything serious. But the boys are facing something very serious right now. It's still active. I know some of the parents asked LCPS to investigate the girl for recording the boys, investigate her for Title IX sexual harassment, but LCPS declined to investigate her for recording the boys.
I see.
This is just outrageous. And I assume that when you say that the school board and the school itself is saying that it's in line with state and local law, it's because of this policy 8040, correct? This is the guidelines that went into place in 2021. That's the policy that allows this sort of unisex bathroom situation. Is that right?
Yeah, so they adopted policy 8040 in 2021. The school board did. And it is still in place. And now that we have a new president who has an executive order, who has defined two sexes, male and female, right? And so parents want to see something done about this. This school board has kicked the can down the road time and time again on this issue. And I know a lot of parents want to see them take a vote on this. They want to see them reverse it. So we'll see if they do. I don't think they will. I know there's an election coming up in November, so I know some parents are looking forward to that. And I want to touch on that for a little bit, because we did hear from some supporters of Policy 8040 who are the school board's allies. And when we heard them speak at the school board meeting last night, people who support this policy, there's just a handful of them, they were very dismissive of what is going on right now with these boys being investigated by LCPS for sexual harassment. Scott Smith brought this point up. You remember Scott Smith?
Of course.
4 years ago, his daughter was sexually assaulted at the same school, Stonebridge High School. He got up to the podium, told the school board that 4 years ago, the school board's allies testified that he made up the sexual assault of his daughter at Stonebridge High School for political gain for the governor, which he said was absolutely ridiculous. And he says that's happening again now with these boys, the school board and their allies dismissing these boys and their concerns and saying, oh, it's just political.
Nick, really quickly on these allies, when you say allies, are these students? Are these parents? Are these just random activists in the community with no kids in the school? Who are these people?
Sure. So we saw Heather Gottlieb there. She's very involved with the Loudoun County Democratic Committee. She's, someone who typically
has no
will
children.
show up. That's my understanding. She has no children. We saw Equality Loudoun, which talks about these issues. And so, we saw folks like that.
Yeah, so we're talking the LGBTQ and trans activist organizations, not when I just want to make clear, it is not parents of trans kids or some sort of grassroots coming out of Loudoun. It's organized. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm sure what happened is once the school board saw over 100 speakers were signing up to speak, and many of them were opposed to Policy 8040, they may have called their friends like Heather and said, hey, we need you to come tonight.
That's right.
The fact that there were still empty seats and they didn't let people in the room, I wonder if that's a violation of civil rights or civil code as well. That might be something else to look into. Nick Minock, always great reporting. I know they keep you busy at WJLA, and Lord knows the news stories keep you busy too, so we're glad to have you as an ally. Thank you, sir.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Well, we have some updates on the greatest political scandal of our lifetimes, and that is the cover-up of Joe Biden's health and the fact that we're learning now so many things. I've been knocking Jake Tapper in his book. It's done two things, actually, that I think are worthy. Number one, this revelation, this quote that I just shared during the interview that we did with Ed Martin, that there were 5 people basically running the White House.
Terrifying.
And the way they put it was Joe Biden was at best a senior member of the board, but not the chief executive. Again, who was running the country? And there's one other revelation. So there's 3 things. There's that revelation. There's this one, which is also not getting a whole lot of attention. When Beau Biden in 2013 was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, guess what the Biden family did? They hid it. They hid it from the public. In fact, they had a doctor named Quan Alfred Jung, physician involved in Beau's treatment, February 2014 issued a statement asserting that Beau was in good health despite his terminal illness, because they were trying to make sure that he still had an opportunity to run for governor in 2016.
That's right.
But he passed
Yep.
away.
Wow.
Before that. That seems like a pattern of behavior, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Seems like they had a lot of doctors in their pockets, and they had a lot of staffers willing to run the country. This is actually the darkest period of our country. This makes Watergate look like lunch money was stolen. This is
I did not
terrifying.
vote for Ron Klain to activate legislation. I did not vote for Anita Dunn. By the way, the fact, and that Ed Martin just revealed that Anita Dunn was one of the people, and the book reveals that Anita Dunn was one of the people. I want to be clear on Anita Dunn's involvement here. Anita Dunn was never a full-time government employee.
That's right.
She was always on temporary status, just like Elon Musk had a temporary employment position, which means Anita Dunn never had to divest herself from her business.
Wow, yeah.
She was a paid consultant on K Street in Washington, D.C. while working in the White House during the entire 4 years. She would have to take every 120 days, she'd have to take a time off, and then she'd come back on under temporary status. And now we learn that she was one of the brain trust running the place.
But it's Trump that's the one who's going to dismantle democracy.
And Musk is the problem. Yeah.
Yes.
This
is
right,
so dark. Wow.
Yesterday, Jake Tapper humiliated himself on Megyn Kelly's podcast so that he could sell books. Good for him. There's a lot to touch on here, and honestly, I would ask that you watch the entire thing yourself. But this we didn't get to. We're already up against it.
Well, we
can
do it. We can do it. Okay.
No,
Sorry.
Get behind me, Satan.
Sorry.
We've got a clock, and I've got to stay on top of it.
So good with the clock. Okay.
So check out the Megyn Kelly interview. There's clips that we share on social media. Also check out the interview with Katie Couric as well. I will say this. One last thing that this book has done is it's drawn attention to my book.
Yes.
And in Amazon categorizes books in various categories. In the politics and elections category, my book is currently the number 5 book on Amazon. Jake Tapper's book is number 6. So I'm actually outranking Jake Tapper's book in that category. So thanks, Jake. Appreciate it. 822.
Making sense of your world.
Talk radio is where I get all of my information.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Coming up, we're going to talk to Representative Jim Jordan from the great, and I mean great, state of Ohio. Go Buckeyes. He's also chair of the House Judiciary Committee. And yesterday he had a hearing on the growing problem of Democrats hindering federal immigration enforcement. We'll talk to him about it. Keep it here. It's 8:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. News now. Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:37. It's O'Connor and Company. Busy Jay just got busier, Julie Gunlock, with the news that Representative Jerry Connolly has passed away, a longtime serving member of Congress in Northern Virginia. We'll have more details on that as the day develops, but we just want to make sure everyone got that word. I'm Larry O'Connor, Julie Gunlock, as I mentioned, and joining us right now is the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Congressman from Ohio, Jim Jordan. And before we get to business, you probably want to take a quick moment to acknowledge the passing of your colleague, Jerry Connolly.
Yeah, no, that's actually the first I'd heard that. So I appreciate you sharing that with me, Jerry. Jerry was a good man. We served on the Oversight Committee together for a number of years, and you know, there's certain members that you count as worthy adversaries. So he and I debated on a lot of things. Didn't share the same views on much, but he was a good man, and that is I feel for his family, and we're sad to lose him. And he was a public servant, you know, local government, and then Congress for a long time. Forever,
yes. He was on the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors for a long time before he turned to Congress, and
yeah. Yep.
Chairman Jordan, this is a very busy week for you and your colleagues up on Capitol Hill. The president addressed the Republican caucus yesterday. Can you give us, from your position, an update on where things stand with the reconciliation bill, which would offer an enormous tax cut to the American people?
Yeah, no, that's front and center. But first of all, the president did a great job. As always, I think he spoke for like an hour and a half, and it was he can sometimes I think he could do stand-up comedy as well. It was fun, it was insightful, and it was great, like the president always is. But yeah, this bill, I always say the reason the Democrats hate this bill is because it's so darn Republican. Every key principle that our party believes in, that I think conservative Americans, conservative people, common sense Americans believe in, is in this bill. It cuts taxes, which is a fundamental principle of our party. It secures the border. It allocates resources to make sure our border stays secure, like President Trump now has it. It embraces school choice, empowering moms and dads to send their kids to the school they want their son or daughter to get the best education. And it requires work. It says for able-bodied adults in our welfare system getting your tax money, Larry, that they should have to do something. I tell people that is fair to taxpayers, that is good for our economy, but most importantly, it's good for the recipient. It's good for the person who's now working and getting the skill set you need to get to a better life. So it embraces four just fundamental Republican principles. And again, I think that's why the Democrats hate it so much, and why it's a good bill. And I think we're going to pass it.
You've got some holdouts. I believe it's four holdouts. And you also have some I would say few, but because everybody wants this tax cut. But you've got some Americans who are concerned about the fact that it raises the debt. It increases spending in some. Yeah. What do you say to those four members and to American voters who are like, why is the spending so high?
Well, I do think we should do everything we can to achieve as much savings, to reduce some of the spending over the time frame of this legislation impacts, which is the 10-year budget window, as the terminology we use here. So I do agree with that. The more we can save, the better. But it can't be bad in both directions. You got some people saying, "Oh, it's not cutting enough spending," and then you got Democrats saying, "Oh, they're slashing spending." Well, the truth is, it does reduce spending. It does reduce the rate of growth of spending. So instead of growing at a projected rate, it grows slightly less than that, but it really only takes it down a couple percent. So I actually think, we should cut more spending. But the truth is, you pull out any one element from this bill, the tax cuts, which lets families keep more of their money to spend on their goals and dreams, the school choice component, the work requirement, the border security money that's there to make sure our border stays secure. Any one of those elements you pull out by themselves, we would vote for it. And so then you put it together in a package. I think we should vote for that as well.
Our guest is Chairman Jim Jordan of the Judiciary Committee. And one more question on this, because then I also want to go to your hearing on what happened at that ICE detention center. But, President Trump, he utilized quite a bit of his political clout in his first 100 days by empowering Elon Musk to coordinate the DOGE effort. And Elon Musk, by the way, talk about the personal attacks on him, the politics of personal destruction. But he did it, and he went through with it because he really believed in the cause. Why didn't more of the DOGE recommendations and reforms make it into legislation so it can be codified in law?
Well, this is something that I know the White House is working on. I wish we were moving at a much faster pace. What has to happen is the White House sends us what's called a rescissions package, a rescissions bill, where some of the stupid things that Elon and the Doge team have identified, stupid spending things, you can put that in a bill and you send it to Congress, and then you don't have to get, under our rules, you don't have to get the 60 votes in the Senate.
So reconciliation wouldn't necessarily be the best place for that versus a rescission bill. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
No, but you could do both at the same time, and we should. I wish we would have some rescission bills, particularly 6 weeks ago after the NPR hearing. Why didn't we have a bill on the sent to us that just dealt with NPR? Get rid of NPR. It's like $4 billion, I think. But I wish we were doing one a week, but I think that's going to come once we get this reconciliation bill done.
All right. Your subcommittee on oversight examined the threats to ICE operations. This coming right after one of your colleagues, Representative McIver from New Jersey, was charges were filed against her conduct there. What's happening with these ICE detention facilities, and specifically how the law enforcement agents and the operations are under threat right now from activists?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a larger problem. The left wants to impede the enforcement of federal law. I mean, to start with, first it was sanctuary cities. You had local mayors and city council saying, we're not going to comply with ICE. We're not going to help ICE. They send us a detainer. We got someone locked up in jail, and we're getting ready to release them, and ICE wants to come get them. We're not going to hold them until ICE gets there. We're going to just release them in the street and endanger people when ICE has to go arrest them. So you first have the sanctuary cities. Then you got sanctuary states. You got governors and state legislatures doing the same thing. Then a few weeks ago, we find, and it's judges as well. The judge in Milwaukee who let the bad guy go out the back door while the good guys were coming in the front door to arrest him. They had to go find him on the street. Again, takes more agents, more people, and endangers the public, endangers the migrant, endangers the law enforcement. And now we learn it's not just sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, and judges. It's also members of Congress. Yes. Members of Congress showing up at the ICE facility. I mean, like, this is today's left, and it's ridiculous, and it's impeding the enforcement of federal law. And that's why the judge in Milwaukee has been charged. It's why the member of Congress in New Jersey 2 weeks ago has been charged for her actions 2 weeks ago. And I think most Americans think that's entirely appropriate.
I think.
Wait, real fast. Do you agree with those most Americans? Is it appropriate for those Congress people to have charges?
That's up to the prosecutor. If the prosecutor thinks so, and it's a violation of federal law, then the prosecutor's going to bring the charges. And that's what's happened in New Jersey. That's what's happened in Wisconsin, and frankly in other jurisdictions as well. So one thing I do know is, God bless the work that Pam Bondi and our Justice Department and Cass Patel at the FBI are doing. It is night and day compared to what we had under Garland and Ray.
Chairman,
I shall read between the lines on that.
This is having such a terrible effect on law enforcement in these sort of deep, dark blue areas. In Arlington, Virginia, where they have suspended any cooperation with ICE, now the police department suspended the gang sort of investigation team within the police department. And we have serious problems with gangs in Northern Virginia. So I really do worry about how this affects local law enforcement. Yeah,
we had a hearing I'm thinking 8 weeks ago, where we had various mayors from these sanctuary cities. We had the mayor of Denver, and the situation. I still remember the guy's name. Abraham Gonzalez was a migrant there who'd been charged for vehicle theft and aggravated assault. And ICE sent a detainer, which is just a statement that says order that says, can you hold this guy and give us notice before you're going to release him? Now he'd been in their county jail for almost a year, and they said, if you're going to release him, give us 48 hours so we can have a couple agents there to arrest this guy. And instead, they gave him 40 minutes. ICE couldn't get there in time. They released him to the street, and one of the officers was assaulted by this guy. It took 6 agents to arrest him on the street, where if they had just let him come to the jail, it'd have taken 2 agents. You put the cuffs on him, you take him. But no, they can't do that because they're left-wing crazy about this whole sanctuary city policy.
All right, Chairman Jim Jordan, we'll leave it there. But one last question. Now that we're all going to the Kennedy Center again, because of President Trump, Rick Grinnell, if you're invited to like a black tie event, red carpet, are you going to wear a jacket or are you going to go in your shirt sleeves? I will wear the jacket there. I got the treatment there. The only time I went to the Kennedy Center, I got what I call the treatment, where someone started screaming at my wife and I, because, we're conservative. Yeah, but that was several years ago. But we do want to go back now because I think Les Mis is going to be playing there soon.
Yes.
Let's go.
We'd love to go see that.
Everybody
we'd
loves
love to go see that.
You can come on WMAL night if we have one. All right. Thanks, Congressman. Good to talk to you.
Well, that is a wrap for us. Good morning, Chris. What have you got coming up?
Oh, you see, the Columbia University, they had a graduation, and they love Hamas. That's New York. It's an Ivy League school. They love the jihad. They don't like the Jews so much.
That's right.
Pretty crazy stuff. The Democrat Party they're changing everything for us, aren't they? And,
they are.
And we've got commencement address. Oh, and Jake Tapper.